Staying warm and dry out there. So let's do a little show this morning. So last night we had the joint session, right? Now, little history. Donald Trump was just elected and inaugurated. He's been in office for just over a month, right? So we're planning to do a big show for the 100th day on day 101. So right, he has his 100th day, and then we do the report card the next day. And I believe that's April 29th. I'll have to double check that. It's right around my birthday, sometime in that area. But because it is the first year of the new term, not the first year of the second term, because the two terms are not continuous. Traditionally, the first address is not called the State of the Union, but I think it should be. I think it absolutely should be called the State of the Union, because what could possibly be more appropriate after an election than for the incoming president to critique the outgoing president? Right? Think about this, okay? We just had an election. And an election is always just one of a few things. It is a referendum on the current president, right? Because remember, Joe Biden only got one term. Biden was president just long enough for enough of America to say, whoa, no more of this shit. That's enough of that. So this past election was a referendum on Joe Biden with a resounding popular vote mandate for Donald Trump, specifically because this is what he campaigned on, to come back into office, having already had one of the most successful, I would argue the most successful presidential administrations in history, and to follow the most disastrous, right? He should absolutely come into office and say, look, guys, here's what happened. And here's what I'm going to do about it. Now, you don't get the same thing so much with a follow-up. You don't get that with a second term, because, of course, you're giving the State of the Union in a continuous, right? So in year 5, okay, the State of the Union is the State of the Union, just like it was in year 4 when you're coming up and saying, okay, this is what I've been doing for you for the last 3 years. Okay, well, go start the second term after being reelected. This is what I've been doing for you for the past 4 years. Cool. Donald Trump gets up, once a year and basically responds to Elon's email. Good stuff. Now, let's just take a look at the other hypothetical. You've got an outgoing Republican being replaced by an incoming Republican, right? Let's say hypothetically we're looking at 2028. It's been a gangbusters great 4 years of President Donald Trump, ending the war in Ukraine, restoring American energy independence, restoring American economy, getting inflation back under control. Everything. Been a great 4 years. And J.D. Vance has just been elected president because, I was ready to vote for him as soon as he threw a knife hand at Zelensky. Let's be honest. Yeah, State of the Union. Hey, I know I'm the new guy, but I've been here under the tutelage of America's greatest president the last 4 years, as we've seen victory after victory after winning, and you guys voted. A Democrat was put up against your president, who doesn't get another term because that's the rules that they just made up. Because remember, all rules are just made up. But yeah, so we've been doing great work for you, and here's how we're going to continue doing the great work. Now, I am not my predecessor. There are things I would have and therefore will do differently. And here's Here's why I think that's the right move. Right. And, in that scenario, for example, Donald Trump in the past has made some mistakes on the Second Amendment. Maybe JD is going to be a better Second Amendment guy. And that's something he talks about. Hey, my predecessor, when in his first term, was naive on the question of bump stocks and on the question of how much authority should be allowed to the ATF. It's a fair critique to say that Pam Bondi may not have been the best choice for AG because of her record on Second Amendment, by 2A guys out there, not big fans, right? Don't get me wrong, there's a lot to like about Pam Bondi. Her previous support for Floridian red flag laws is not on that list. But basically, I'm making the case that this should have been called a State of the Union address. And it was. It very much was. Anarchy says Trump wants to make it a mandatory death penalty if anyone harms a cop. I had a conversation with some guys about that last night, and I think we're going to probably hear some clarification on that, because at the time when he said that, Anarchy, he was specifically talking about the hostile foreign invaders. In fact, even more specifically, he was talking about the members of the gangs, Trendy Aragua, MS-13, and anybody associated with the drug cartels. So it's actually not entirely clear if he meant that anyone who harms a cop gets the death penalty. And I think this is a very important distinction to make, because harms a cop and kills a cop are two very different things. Not that I'm advocating for either. And I am totally comfortable morally with the death penalty. I have some very significant concerns about it as an authority that we cede to a government whose level of corruption cannot be trusted. Right? But I think, and again, we're going to be looking for some clarification on this, but I think he was talking specifically about illegal aliens who harm a cop, and even more particularly about the members of those gangs. And I'm actually pretty comfortable with that. If you say, hey, you came into my country illegally and attacked and killed members of my military or police force, you're an enemy combatant as far as I'm concerned. You're an enemy combatant. And I won't say there's only one way to deal with enemy combatants. I myself have on occasion chosen not to kill an enemy combatant when they were in front of me, instead taking them as POWs to be interrogated, because, well, intelligence is valuable. And if I can get one bad guy to tell me where there are three more bad guys, you'd be surprised how many bad guys I will have killed by the end of that week. I was. The first time I ran down that rabbit hole, I was surprised at how many bodies we stacked. I was in a pretty good mood. I mean, I didn't roll out of bed for a month after that, but you'd be amazed how far that web can take you. And just because you're taking POWs today doesn't mean they don't come back and return fire after some camel jockey digs a tunnel under the prison and lets them all out. Because that's a thing I had to deal with once. But like I was saying, State of the Union. So Trump's speech last night was excellent. I mean, he's constantly bloviating and speaking in hyperbole. No, it was the best State of the Union address. It really was, on several levels, because he got up there and he was very direct. He very explicitly not made references, but directly invoked Joe Biden's name and talked about the disasters that have resulted from that presidency, even going so far as to mention the price of eggs in a sort of quip. He cracked jokes. He threw shade. He was very He was very kind of comedically abusive of the Democrats who were there to, doing everything they could to clap for nothing. The Democrats clapped once last night. They clapped once when he mentioned Ukraine. They clapped for a foreign country, right? They couldn't clap for the widow and the daughters of a man who gave his life to protect them in the middle of the Democrats' assassination attempt on President Trump. They couldn't bring themselves to clap for the little black boy who just wants to be a cop, but he's got cancer, and so he's not going to grow up to be a cop. And so Donald Trump made him a Secret Service agent, which I'll get back to that in just a minute. They couldn't clap. They couldn't clap for the border being secured, right? They just could not bring themselves to clap for anything except for a foreign nation, right? And not even an ally. They clapped for Ukraine. Ukraine is not an ally. Y'all need to get that out of your heads right now. When you hear people talk about Ukraine being an ally, Ukraine is not an ally. The Nord Stream pipeline bombing was conducted by a Ukrainian asset in a naked attempt to create a false flag to invoke Article 5 and force U.S. under NATO rules to enter boots on the ground and conduct war with Russia. The Ukraine is not our friend. But the Democrats stood up and clapped for them. It's the only thing they can clap for, right? So let's take a beat and get a little bit of entertainment out of this, out of these travesties that were conducted by the Dems. Like, for example, this one was hilarious. Al Green. This guy spearheaded the first Trump impeachment attempt. Not the first of the two impeachments that actually happened, but back in Trump's first term, Al Green filed the articles of impeachment on January 21st, 2017, right? Actually, no, I'm sorry, I take that back. He did it right after the election. He drafted the articles of impeachment and filed them before Trump was inaugurated the first time. And he did it again this time. He's already drafted and filed articles of impeachment with no basis. It's just I think we played that clip and just what was it for dastardly deeds considered for dastardly deeds to be done. Right. Impeachment for thought crime. Right. Al Green single-handedly puts the lie to the idea that the impeachment process is anything but a political weapon. Now, the intent of the impeachment process, as it's defined in the Constitution, is clearly to be a check and balance against the bad behavior, not the maladministration, but the bad behavior of an elected president, right? So, Joe Buddy, CIA ran the Nord Stream op. Maybe Ukrainian operators were contracted to do it, but did not greenlight the op. No, that's incorrect, Joe. Zelensky explicitly greenlit the op and has since said that he tried to cancel the op after he greenlit it, but was unable to cancel it. I'm not saying the CIA wasn't involved. I'm not saying that. In fact, it would surprise me, honestly, if the CIA under Joe Biden were not involved in trying to raise a false flag to get us involved in another forever war. But the Ukrainians did explicitly greenlight it. Zelensky himself has said that after he approved the op, he tried to cancel it. He tried to call it back, but it was too late. Yeah. I'm telling you, they're not our friends. And even if that weren't the case, after what we saw Friday night in that conference, Zelensky went in there with the explicit intent to do whatever, to say whatever he had to say to make sure that the elections don't get turned back on in Ukraine, so he stays in power, and the money spigot doesn't get turned off from the U.S., which, by the way, it has, and hell yeah. But Al Green's a clown, and he beclowned himself last night. He got up. I mean, this was right at the beginning, and fair play. I guess if you're going to get thrown out, you might as well go ahead and do it early, so you don't have to sit through the whole thing. If I found myself clowning my way out the door, I might just head right down the street and have a steak and watch the rest of the speech on my phone because I'm a fat boy. It's cool. But this.
Finding that members continue to engage in willful and concerted disruption of proper decorum, the chair now directs the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order. Remove this gentleman from the chamber.
And look at him. He's waving his cane, making threats, just absolutely beclowning himself. And by the way, this clip goes straight to where he's being thrown out. For any of you who didn't watch the speech last night, to be clear, Al Green got up and started screaming and waving his cane at Trump while Trump was speaking. The Democrats got up and were, they were encouraging him and all that. And then the speaker rose, banged the gavel, and demanded order be restored. Hey, you will uphold the decorum. This is in the rules. Don't stop playing around, right? And everybody sat back down except for shithead Al Green, who kept shouting and screaming. This was a stunt. It's good. It's good that the speaker said, okay, restore decorum. Al Green keeps screaming. Restore decorum. Al Green keeps screaming. Restore decorum. Put his ass out on the street. Al Green did this on purpose. It's a stunt. He wanted to get the headline, Black Man Thrown Out of White Man's Club. That's why this happened last night. He was fishing for a headline. He was fishing for a clip. He wanted this. So, hey, good morning, Al. My gift to you. Because what he wanted, what this communist wants, is for people to say his name and talk about it. And I think we should. That's a common thread that we're going to see throughout the Democrat Party for the next 4 years. We've seen it before. You're going to see more and more and more of it. Constant virtue signaling. Say my name. Say my name. And we are going to say their names. And we're going to be very explicit. And we're going to say their names. And we're going to talk about the things that they've done. Like I already did with Al Green this morning. This is the guy who, without citing any actual high crimes or misdemeanors, just very vague nonsense, and frankly, racist nonsense in the first one. Basically, the first time around, he tried to impeach Trump for being a white guy, using language like white supremacy, etc. But yeah, he wanted to get tossed out so that the headlines would be about him getting tossed out last night. And he's going to get a bit of that. Now, I don't think it's going to go quite the way he wants it to. I don't think it's going to be as big a topic. Because what they're looking for when they pull stunts like this is they're hoping that everybody will talk about the stunt and then not talk about the actual event. He's hoping that his stunt will distract everybody from what Trump said in the speech last night. Now, I've only got about 10 more minutes here. I'm not going to try to rehash everything that Donald Trump covered last night. The speech was like 90 minutes long. It was rock solid. It was, y'all, least boring State of the Union address ever. I mean, hands down, absolutely worth the watch just for the sheer entertainment value. I've said it before, and I'm not the only one, and we'll say it again, I'm sure. Donald Trump is an absolute masterful entertainer. Right? I mean, the man, he'd have been a billionaire whether he stayed in real estate or he could have gone into stand-up comedy. And he'd have made a damn fortune. The man is just funny. And that shined through a lot last night. It was great to see. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And yeah, I hope you guys go and check it out later. The clown shoes just keep on coming. Let's be reminded. Like this is worth a chuckle. This cat says, breaking, a huge uprising has broken out at the national capital, demanding the impeachment of President Trump and the deportation of Elon Musk. Right? This is huge. What do you got? 30, 40 people there?
Where is Congress?
Oh, look at these. Trump sucks at golf. I will not comply. Okay, go for it. Trade in your swastikars. Deport Elon. Trade in your swastikars. Swastikars. That's adorable. I really want to. I really want to know how many of these hippies are driving VWs. How many are you driving your cute little bug or your microbus? Fuck trash. But this right here, this just deport Elon. While not natural born, Elon is a naturalized American citizen. We don't deport U.S. citizens. We don't. Deportation is for people who are unlawfully present in the country. Now, it's possible to revoke a citizenship, especially one that's not of a natural born citizen. Sure. And then he might become unlawfully present in the country. And then you can talk about deportation. It's kind of like how trespassing works. Trespassing, right? Just walking onto somebody else's property is not trespassing unless it's posted, right? You're trespassing when you have been informed by a person with legitimate authority over the property that you are not welcome. And when you have then either entered after having received that warning or refused to leave, remained unlawfully after having been asked to leave by the duly appointed authority. And it is duly appointed authority. Hi, Lincoln. Good morning, little buddy. It is duly appointed authority. For example, just because you don't own the hotel doesn't mean that the manager can't trespass you, right? So, you own a commercial property, your managers can trespass you. Like, I'm the homeowner, but my 9-year-old son can tell you to fuck off. And that carries the weight of law. More importantly, it carries the weight of me, which is no small thing. But Danny says no white person wants to go to South Africa. At least they shouldn't. Yeah, that's not safe. I had a buddy from South Africa a long time ago, and maybe I can tell you stories about him in the after hours Rumble premium exclusive shows that we'll be doing in the future. Maybe. So anyway, I think all that's hilarious. They're going on about the so Homeboy says that they had a big demonstration. Then of course you've got stuff like this, photos of Democrats walking out after the president's speech. Another clip of Green getting thrown out. And this one right here. Maxwell Alejandro Frost. We just walked out of the State of the Union. My shirt showed Trump an important message. No kings live here. In the spirit of student protesters from the civil rights movement, I'm proud to have protested and walked out with many of my colleagues. Yeah, look at these. I mean, I see nothing in this image but bitter, childless cat ladies. These just bitter, hateful people that don't love anything. Right? Yeah, I mean, they're just. It's amazing to me that they think that they're going to get any kind of traction with those antics, while Doge is at a near total high of approval over all other polled institutions. Right? I mean, 1,000 times the approval of Congress. They're kicking ass and taking names. This presidency is in its absolute infancy. But I mean, it's the Chuck Norris presidency. I mean, he came out of the womb and slapped the doctor. And I'm here for it, guys. I'm here for it. But it is about that time. I need to button it up and get on the road. I got houses to shoot. And got to go make the donuts. So thanks for watching this morning, guys. We love you. We will see you tomorrow.